In the last episode, the planet Earth was on the brink of collapse, ravaged by environmental disaster and societal chaos. The remnants of humanity struggled to survive, their future uncertain. It was in this desperate landscape that Ambrose Wynter, a brilliant and charismatic entrepreneur, emerged as a beacon of hope. With his innovative solutions and bold vision, he began to forge unlikely alliances with marginalized species, equipping them with cutting-edge technology and propelling humanity forward. As I stepped out of my makeshift office, the scorching sun hit me like a slap in the face, a harsh reminder of the world's fragility. The air reeked of smoke and desperation. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility on my shoulders. The once thriving metropolis now lay in ruins, a testament to humanity's destructive power. I thought back to the early days when my company, Wynter Enterprises, was just a small player in the tech industry. I had always been driven by a vision of a better future, one where humanity could thrive without destroying the planet. But it wasn't until the Great Collapse that I realized the true extent of our world's fragility. The memories still haunted me, the desperate cries for help, the pleas for salvation, the countless faces of the fallen. I pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on the present. My team was waiting for me, their faces etched with concern. "Ambrose, we've got a situation," one of my engineers said, his voice laced with urgency. "The Xanthian delegation has arrived and they're not happy." I nodded, my mind racing with the implications. The Xanthians were a reclusive species, known for their advanced technology and shrewd politics. Their dissatisfaction could mean trouble we couldn't afford. I strode towards the meeting room, my heart pounding in my chest. The Xanthians were already seated, their leader, the enigmatic Ambassador Zorvath, gazing at me with an unreadable expression. "Ambassador," I said, extending a hand in greeting, "it's an honor to meet you." Zorvath's response was a curt nod. "We have come to discuss the readjustment of our partnership." I sensed a trap, a hidden agenda lurking beneath the surface. My instincts screamed caution, but I pushed on, driven by a determination to secure a vital alliance. "Readjustment?" I asked, feigning ignorance. "I'm not sure I understand." The ambassador's eyes narrowed. "You are aware of the shortcomings of your technology. We had expected more." I took a seat, choosing my words carefully. "I understand your concerns, Ambassador. But I assure you our technology has the potential to revolutionize your world." Potential was not enough, Ambassador Zorvath said, his voice dripping with disdain. "We require results." The air was thick with tension, each side sizing the other up. I knew I had to tread carefully to find a balance between assertiveness and diplomacy. I leaned forward, meeting Zorvath's gaze. "I propose a demonstration of our capabilities, a trial of our technology in your own world. If successful, I'm confident we can renegotiate our partnership." The ambassador's expression remained inscrutable, but I detected a glimmer of interest. "Very well, Ambrose Wynter, we will consider your proposal." As the meeting concluded, I couldn't shake off the feeling that I had just stepped into a complex game, one where the stakes were higher than I had ever imagined. The Xanthians were not the only players. There were others lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. The universe was full of mysteries, full of hidden dangers and untold wonders. I was about to embark on a journey that would take me to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. A journey that would test my resolve, my wit, and my very soul. The cityscape stretched before me, a sprawling expanse of makeshift shelters and improvised dwellings. The ruins of skyscrapers stood as skeletal sentinels, reminders of a civilization that had crumbled. But amidst the devastation, I saw hope, a spark that refused to be extinguished. I turned to my team, my eyes burning with determination. "We have a long road ahead of us, but I know we can do this. We can rebuild, we can adapt, and we can thrive." The words felt like a promise, a vow to myself and to the people who had placed their trust in me. As I gazed out into the unknown, I knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with peril, but I was ready. For I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not let humanity falter. The stars beckoned, a siren's call to the unknown. I smiled, a sense of wonder stirring within me. It was time to explore, to discover, and to forge a new destiny for humanity. The universe, here I come. The hum of engines, the chatter of pedestrians, and the wail of sirens created a cacophony of sound. I breathed in deeply, the scent of smoke and grease hanging heavy in the air. My comms device beeped, shrill in the din. I answered, my voice firm. Winter here. Ambrose, we've got a situation developing on one of the outer colonies, a voice said, urgency etched into the words. Reports of an alien vessel, possibly hostile. My grip on the device tightened. Give me the coordinates. It'll be right there. The device went silent and I turned to my team. It seems our journey is about to take an unexpected turn. As I strode towards the exit, a sense of excitement coursed through my veins. The unknown was a magnet, drawing me in with an irresistible force. I was ready to face whatever lay ahead, armed with my wit, my courage, and my unyielding determination. The stars awaited, and I was eager to take the first step into the great unknown. With a deep breath, I steeled myself for what was to come. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was its champion. In that moment, I knew I would stop at nothing to ensure our survival, to protect our future, and to forge a legacy that would echo through the ages. But for now, I had a colony to save. As I walked out into the bright sunlight, the world seemed to stretch out before me like an endless canvas, waiting to be filled with the vibrant colors of our future. The hum of engines grew louder, a symphony of sound that seemed to pulse with the beat of my heart. It was time to take the first step, to embark on a journey that would change the course of history. And I was ready. The world was waiting, and I was its catalyst. The fire of determination burned within me, a flame that would guide me through the trials to come. I smiled, a sense of purpose settling over me like a mantle. The universe, here I come. The stars shone bright, a celestial showcase of light and sound, and I was about to take center stage. The world held its breath, poised on the cusp of a new era, and I was its champion, its hero, its guiding light in the darkness. The journey began, a path that would wind through the very fabric of space and time, and I was ready to take the first step, to embark on a quest that would change the course of history forever. The universe was full of mysteries, full of hidden dangers and untold wonders, and I was about to uncover them one by one. The stars beckoned, a siren's call to the unknown, and I was ready to answer. The world watched, its future uncertain, but I was certain that we could rebuild, adapt, and thrive. The journey ahead would be fraught with peril, but I was ready, for I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not let humanity falter. The universe awaited, and I was eager to take the first step into the great unknown. The stars shone bright, a celestial showcase of light and sound, and I was about to take center stage to play my part in the grand drama of the cosmos. The world held its breath, poised on the cusp of a new era, and I was its champion, its hero, its guiding light in the darkness. The journey began, a path that would wind through the very fabric of space and time, and I was ready to take the first step, to embark on a quest that would change the course of history forever. The fire of determination burned within me, a flame that would guide me through the trials to come. I smiled, a sense of purpose settling over me like a mantle. The universe, here I come. And with that, the journey began. But little did I know, the challenges ahead would test my resolve, my wit, and my very soul. The universe was full of mysteries, full of hidden dangers and untold wonders, and I was about to uncover them one by one. But for now, I had a colony to save. The stars shone bright, a celestial showcase of light and sound, and I was about to take center stage. The world watched, its future uncertain, but I was certain that we could rebuild, adapt, and thrive. The journey ahead would be fraught with peril, but I was ready, for I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not let humanity falter. The universe awaited, and I was eager to take the first step into the great unknown. And so, with a deep breath, I stepped into the void, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The journey had begun, and I was its catalyst. The stars shone bright, a celestial showcase of light and sound, and I was about to take center stage to play my part in the grand drama of the cosmos. The world held its breath, poised on the cusp of a new era, and I was its champion, its hero, its guiding light in the darkness. The journey would be long, fraught with danger and filled with uncertainty. But I was ready, for I was Ambrose Wynter and this was my destiny. The universe, here I come as I stepped into the void, the stars shone bright, a celestial showcase of light and sound. The hum of engines grew louder, a symphony of sound that seemed to pulse with the beat of my heart. I was about to take center stage to play my part in the grand drama of the cosmos. The world watched, its future uncertain. But I was certain that we could rebuild, adapt, and thrive. The journey ahead would be fraught with peril, but I was ready. For I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not let humanity falter. The comms device in my hand crackled to life, a voice on the other end speaking in hushed tones. Ambrose, we've got a situation developing on one of the outer colonies. Reports of an alien vessel, possibly hostile. My grip on the device tightened. Give me the coordinates. It'll be right there. The device went silent and I turned to my team. It seems our journey is about to take an unexpected turn. As I strode towards the exit, a sense of excitement coursed through my veins. The unknown was a magnet, drawing me in with an irresistible force. I was ready to face whatever lay ahead, armed with my wit, my courage, and my unyielding determination. The stars awaited, and I was eager to take the first step into the great unknown. With a deep breath, I steeled myself for what was to come. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was its champion. As I walked out into the bright sunlight, the world seemed to stretch out before me like an endless canvas, waiting to be filled with the vibrant colors of our future. The hum of engines grew louder, a symphony of sound that seemed to pulse with the beat of my heart. It was time to take the first step, to embark on a journey that would change the course of history, and I was ready. The world held its breath, poised on the cusp of a new era, and I was its champion, its hero, its guiding light in the darkness. The journey began, a path that would wind through the very fabric of space and time, and I was ready to take the first step, to embark on a quest that would change the course of history forever. The fire of determination burned within me, a flame that would guide me through the trials to come. I smiled, a sense of purpose settling over me like a mantle. The universe, here I come. And with that, I stepped into the unknown, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The stars shone bright, a celestial showcase of light and sound, and I was about to take center stage. The world watched, its future uncertain, but I was certain that we could rebuild, adapt, and thrive. The journey ahead would be fraught with peril, but I was ready. For I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not let humanity falter. The universe awaited, and I was eager to take the first step into the great unknown. And so, with a deep breath, I launched myself into the void, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The journey had begun, and I was its catalyst. The stars shone bright, a celestial showcase of light and sound, and I was about to take center stage to play my part in the grand drama of the cosmos. The world held its breath, poised on the cusp of a new era, and I was its champion, its hero, its guiding light in the darkness. The journey would be long, fraught with danger and filled with uncertainty. But I was ready, for I was Ambrose Wynter and this was my destiny. The universe, here I come, the darkness of space enveloped me like a shroud. The silence a welcome respite from the constant din of humanity's struggles. My ship, the Celestial Dawn, pierced the veil of the unknown, its engines humming a gentle melody as we approached the outer colonies. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the colony, my AI, Echo, informed me, her voice like a gentle breeze on a summer's day. Put it through, Echo, I replied, my eyes fixed on the main view screen. A grainy image flickered to life, a harried-looking colonist staring back at me. Ambrose, thank the stars you're here. We're under attack by an alien vessel, Thayer demanding our surrender. I felt a spark of anger ignite within me, fueled by the desperation in the colonist's voice. Tell them I'm on my way. I'll handle this. The transmission ended and I turned to my team. Let's move, people. We have a situation to contain. The celestial dawn shuddered as we jumped into hyperspace, the stars blurring into a purple haze around us. My mind raced with scenarios, strategies, and contingency plans. We emerged from hyperspace, the colony's fragile outpost hanging like a tiny jewel against the blackness. A sleek silver ship loomed over it, its cannons trained on the helpless colonists. My grip on the armrest tightened as I rose from my chair. Echo, hail the alien vessel. Let's see what they want. Echo's response was instantaneous. Thayer responding. Ambrose, the vessel's commander is on the line. A cold, calculating voice spoke, sending a shiver down my spine. Human, you are Ambrose Wynter, the self-proclaimed savior of your species. I am Commander Zorvath of the Kralian Empire. You have something that belongs to us. Hand it over and we might spare your pitiful colony. I smiled, a plan beginning to form in my mind. Commander Zorvath, I think you'll find that humanity is not so easily intimidated. We'll discuss this further, face to face. The line went silent and I turned to my team. It's time to put on a show. Let's make the Kralian Empire an offer they can't refuse. With a confident smile, I strode towards the airlock, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The fate of humanity hung in the balance and I was its champion as I stepped out of the airlock. The chill of space gave way to the sterile, metallic atmosphere of the Kralian vessel. Commander Zorvath awaited me, flanked by two imposing guards. Their eyes, like dark pools, watched me with an unblinking intensity. I had faced countless foes, but there was something unnerving about the Kralians' cold, calculated demeanor. Commander, I began, extending a hand in a gesture of peace. It's an honor to finally meet you. I've heard a great deal about the Kralian Empire. Zorvath's gaze never wavered, his voice devoid of emotion. You are Ambrose Wynter, the human who would rival the gods. I am curious to see if your boasts are substantiated. I smiled, unfazed by the commander's sarcasm. I'm not here to boast, Commander. I'm here to negotiate. You see, humanity has something you want, but we also have something you need. Zorvath's expression remained unreadable, but a faint glimmer of interest flickered in his eyes. Go on. The Kralian Empire is not the only power in the galaxy, I continued, my voice measured. Humanity has forged alliances with other species, alliances that could prove mutually beneficial. The commander's silence was calculated, as if he weighed the pros and cons of my proposal. Finally, he spoke, his voice like a slow-moving glacier. I will propose your terms to my emperor. But be warned, human, the Kralian Empire does not take kindly to threats or deception. You would do well to remember that. I nodded, a subtle smile playing on my lips. I understand, Commander, and I assure you humanity has no intention of deceiving your empire. We're willing to make concessions to find common ground. Zorvath's gaze narrowed, his eyes piercing. I will convey your message. But first, I require a token of your good faith, a gift to demonstrate humanity's commitment to our proposed alliance. My instincts told me to beware, but I knew I had to take a risk. I reached into my pocket and retrieved a small, intricately carved box. A token, Commander, a gesture of humanity's willingness to cooperate. The box was ornate, adorned with symbols of the ancient Earth cultures. It contained a small, glowing crystal, one that held the key to unlocking new technologies, technologies that could change the course of the galaxy. Zorvath's eyes widened ever so slightly as he took the box. This is unexpected, he said, his voice tinged with a hint of surprise. I smiled, a calculated risk paying off. Sometimes, Commander, it's necessary to think outside the box. The commander's gaze locked onto mine, his eyes flashing with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. I will present your proposal to my emperor, but be warned, human, the Kralian Empire will not be trifled with. If you are deceiving us, the consequences will be catastrophic. I nodded, a sense of trepidation creeping up my spine. I understand, Commander. Humanity has no intention of deceiving your empire. We're willing to work together to forge a new path forward. With that, our meeting came to an end. I returned to the celestial dawn, my mind racing with the implications of our encounter. The Kralian Empire was a force to be reckoned with, but I was determined to use their ambition to humanity's advantage. As I stepped back into the cockpit, Echo's gentle voice greeted me. Ambrose, we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. Thayer requesting your presence at an emergency meeting. My heart quickened, a sense of unease settling in. The Galactic Council was a fragile entity torn apart by rival factions and petty squabbles. What could they possibly want with me? I took a deep breath, my eyes fixed on the stars streaming past us. Put it through, Echo. Let's see what the Council wants. The transmission flickered to life, the Council's chairman, a frail, aging human named Senator Ortega, staring back at me. Ambrose, thank the stars you're available. We have a situation that requires your unique talents. I raised an eyebrow, my curiosity piqued. What kind of situation, Senator? Ortega's eyes darted nervously around the council chamber. It's difficult to explain, Ambrose. You see, one of our deep space probes has made a disturbing discovery. A discovery that could change the course of human history forever. My grip on the armrest tightened, a sense of foreboding settling in. What kind of discovery, Senator? The senator's voice was barely above a whisper. We've found evidence of an ancient alien civilization, one that predates the Kralian Empire by millennia. And Thayer not extinct, Ambrose. Thayer coming for us. The words hung in the air like a challenge, a gauntlet thrown down by the very fabric of the universe. I felt the weight of history bearing down on me, the burden of responsibility settling squarely on my shoulders. Say that again, Senator, I requested, my voice steady despite the turmoil brewing inside. Ortega's eyes locked onto mine, a mixture of fear and desperation etched on his face. We've found evidence of an ancient alien civilization, one that predates the Kralian Empire by millennia. And Thayer not extinct, Ambrose. Thayer coming for us. The implications were staggering. An ancient civilization, older than the Kralian Empire, which was already ancient by human standards. What kind of power, what kind of technology would such a civilization possess? What do we know about them, Senator? I pressed, my mind racing with the possibilities. Ortega's gaze fluttered around the council chamber as if searching for an escape route. Not much, Ambrose. The probe's data is sketchy at best. But from what we've gathered, Thayer called the Zeridians. Thayer a highly advanced species with technology beyond our wildest dreams. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I processed the information. The Zeridians, a civilization older than the Kralian Empire, were coming for us. The stakes had just been raised to an astronomical level. What's the council's plan, Senator? I asked, my voice firm and resolute. Ortega's expression turned glum. That's the problem, Ambrose. We don't have a plan. The council is divided and we can't seem to agree on a course of action. That's why we need you, Ambrose. We need your unique perspective. I nodded, the challenge accepted. This was it, the moment I had been preparing for. Humanity's fate hung in the balance and I was the only one who could tip the scales. I'll be there, Senator, I said, my voice filled with determination. I'll bring humanity together and well face the Zeridians as one. But I need your guarantee, Senator. I need the council's full support no matter what. Ortega's eyes locked onto mine, a glimmer of hope flickering to life. You have it, Ambrose. The council will back you no matter what it takes. I nodded, a sense of resolve settling in. The game was afoot and I was ready to play. The fate of humanity hung in the balance and I was the only one who could save it. Echo, set a course for the Galactic Council, I said, my voice firm and resolute. We have a civilization to save. As Echo's engines roared to life, I felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through my veins. The stakes were higher than ever before, and I knew that the next few hours would determine the course of human history. I took a deep breath, letting the weight of responsibility settle onto my shoulders. This was it, the moment I had been preparing for, the moment I would prove myself as a true leader. Senator, what's the current situation on the council floor? I asked, my eyes fixed on the view screen as Echo pierced the veil of hyperspace. Ortega's voice was laced with tension. The council is in disarray, Ambrose. The news of the Zeridians has sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. Several council members are advocating for immediate surrender while others are pushing for an all-out war. I nodded, my mind racing with strategy. I need to know everything, Senator. What's the mood on the floor? Who's leading the charge for surrender? And who's pushing for war? Ortega's voice was hesitant. Ambassador Zorvath of the Kralian Empire is leading the charge for war. He claims that the Zeridians pose an existential threat to the galaxy, and that we must take decisive action to protect ourselves. I raised an eyebrow. Zorvath was a cunning and ruthless diplomat, known for his aggressive tactics. I would need to keep a close eye on him if I was to have any hope of succeeding. And the surrender faction, I pressed, my eyes narrowing. Ortega's voice dropped to a whisper. That would be Ambassador Jackson of the Rigelian Collective. He's arguing that the Zeridians are too powerful and that our only hope for survival is to negotiate a peaceful surrender. I nodded, my mind working overtime. Jackson was a slimy bureaucrat, always looking for ways to advance his own interests. I would need to play him carefully if I was to get what I wanted. Senator, I need you to prepare a dossier on both Zorvath and Jackson. I want to know their strengths, their weaknesses, and their motivations. Can you do that for me? Ortega's voice was firm. Consider it done, Ambrose. I'll have the dossier ready for you as soon as you arrive on the council floor. I nodded, my eyes locked onto the view screen as Echo emerged from hyperspace. The Galactic Council's imposing structure loomed before us, its gleaming spires piercing the darkness of space. Time to get to work, Senator, I said, my voice firm and resolute. Let's go save humanity. The doors of Echo's bridge slid open and I strode out into the bright lights of the docking bay. Ortega was waiting for me, his eyes darting nervously around the crowded corridor. Ambrose, we need to be careful, he whispered, his hand on my shoulder. There are those on the council who would stop at nothing to see you fail. I smiled, my eyes glinting with determination. Let them try. Senator, I've faced down impossible odds before, and I've come out on top every time. This will be no different. With Ortega by my side, I strode onto the council floor, my eyes scanning the sea of alien faces. Zorvath and Jackson were already waiting for me, their eyes locked onto mine like predators sensing prey. It was time to play the game of galactic politics. It was time to shape the course of human history, and I was ready as I walked towards the council chamber. I could feel the weight of the galaxy's attention on me. The air was thick with tension, the whispers and murmurs of the gathered diplomats and bureaucrats hanging like a cloud over the proceedings. Zorvath, resplendent in his ornate Kralian regalia, sneered at me from across the room. Jackson, his slimy smile oozing insincerity, nodded in my direction, his eyes gleaming with calculation. I ignored them both, my focus fixed on the central podium where the council's chair, the ancient and venerable HFY, sat in quiet contemplation. Greetings, Ambassador Wynter. The chair's voice was like a gentle breeze, carrying the weight of centuries of wisdom. We have been expecting you. The situation with the Zeridians has complicated matters. I bowed my head, my eyes locked onto the chairs. I am here to offer humanity's assistance in resolving this crisis, honorably and peacefully. Zorvath snorted, his voice like a crack of thunder. Peacefully. You humans are nothing but naive fools. The Zeridians will not be swayed by empty words and platitudes. We must take action, and we must take it now. I turned to face him, my voice calm and measured. Action, Ambassador, is precisely what has led us to this juncture. Humanity has learned from its mistakes, and we are willing to work together with the Council to find a solution that benefits all parties. Jackson's voice was like a serpent slithering through the grass. Ambassador Wynter, your enthusiasm is admirable, but are you certain humanity is prepared to take on the burdens of galactic leadership? We have seen your species' instability in the past. I smiled, my eyes never leaving Jackson's face. Instability, Ambassador, is a symptom of growth. Humanity has come a long way since our early days of strife and conflict. We are ready to take our place among the galactic community as equals and as leaders. The council chamber erupted into a cacophony of voices, each faction and species vying for dominance. I raised my hands, my voice cutting through the din. Enough. This bickering will achieve nothing. We must work together as a united council to address the Ziridian threat. I propose a joint committee, comprising representatives from each of the major factions, to negotiate with the Ziridians and find a peaceful resolution. The room fell silent, the assembled diplomats and bureaucrats staring at me in stunned disbelief. Zorvath's face was a thundercloud, Jackson's eyes narrowed to slits. The chair's voice was like a gentle breeze once more. Ambassador Wynter's proposal is intriguing. Let us take a recess to consider the implications, and reconvene in 1 standard hour to discuss the details. As the chamber emptied, I caught Ortega's eye, his nod a barely perceptible movement. The game was afoot, and the stakes had never been higher. I took a deep breath, my mind racing with strategies and counter-strategies. The next few hours would determine the course of human history, and I was ready. I walked out of the council chamber, the cool air of the corridor a welcome respite from the stifling atmosphere of the meeting room. Ortega fell into step beside me, his eyes scanning the surrounding area with a practiced air of caution. "Well, that was fun," he said, his voice low and dry. "You certainly know how to stir up a hornet's nest, Ambrose." I smiled, my mind already racing ahead to the next move. "It's all about timing, my friend. We needed to shake things up, get the council out of their complacent funk." Ortega nodded, his expression thoughtful. "You think the chair will go for it, though? The joint committee, I mean." "I think XHKKHT is willing to listen at least," I replied. "The real question is, what's behind Zorvath's sudden belligerence? What's he hiding?" Ortega's eyes narrowed. "I've been digging into his background, Ambrose. There's something fishy going on with the Kralians. I just can't quite put my finger on it yet." I nodded, my mind whirling with possibilities. "Keep digging, Ortega. We need to know what we're up against." As we walked, the corridors of the council's headquarters seemed to grow increasingly deserted. It was as if the very fabric of the galaxy was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. I couldn't blame it. The stakes were higher than ever before, and the outcome was far from certain. We reached the human delegation's quarters, a secure bubble of familiarity in the midst of the alien-dominated council. The doors slid open, revealing a bustling hub of activity as our team worked feverishly to prepare for the next stage of negotiations. Lena, our chief strategist, looked up from her console as I entered. "Ambrose, we've got the preliminary reports coming in from the Ziridian front. It's not looking good." I nodded, my heart sinking. "What's the situation?" "The Ziridians are mobilizing their fleet, preparing for a full-scale assault on the council's territorial borders," she replied, her eyes grim. "We're talking hundreds of ships, Ambrose. This is going to get ugly fast." I took a deep breath, my mind racing with the implications. We were running out of time, and our only hope lay in convincing the council to work together to find a solution. Ortega's voice was a low growl in my ear. "You think this is more than just a coincidence, Ambrose? The Ziridians mobilizing right after your proposal?" I nodded, my eyes locked onto the view screen displaying the unfolding crisis. "I think we're being played, Ortega. I think someone on the council is manipulating the Ziridians, using them to discredit humanity and undermine our position." Ortega's face was a mask of determination. "Then we need to find out who and stop them, before it's too late." I nodded, my jaw set in a firm line. This was going to be a long, hard fight, but I was ready. Humanity was ready. We would not be pushed around, not by the Ziridians, not by the council, and not by whoever was pulling the strings from behind the scenes. The game was afoot, and we were going to win. I turned to Lena, my voice crisp and decisive. "Get me a secure channel to XHKKHT immediately. I need to talk to her now." Lena nodded, her fingers flying across the console as she worked to establish the connection. The view screen flickered, and then the chair's solemn face appeared before us. "Ambrose," she said, her voice grave, "I see the situation unfolding. I must admit I am perplexed. The Zeridians have never been this aggressive before. I think we're being played XHKKHT, I said, my eyes locked onto hers. Someone on the council is manipulating them, using them to sabotage our efforts. XHKKHT's expression turned thoughtful, her antennae twitching as she considered the possibility. I will investigate, Ambrose. But in the meantime, we need to take action. The council is fracturing, and if we don't do something, the Zeridians will tear us apart. I agree, I said, my mind racing with possibilities. We need to call an emergency meeting, get the council to work together to address this crisis. XHKKHT nodded, her eyes flashing with determination. I will convene the meeting. But Ambrose, be warned. There are those on the council who will stop at nothing to see humanity fail. You must be prepared to defend your people. I nodded, my jaw set in a firm line. I will, XHKKHT. You can count on me. The connection cut off and I turned to Ortega, my eyes locked onto his. We need to get to the bottom of this, Ortega. Find me proof of who's behind this and we'll take them down. Ortega nodded, his face a mask of determination. I'll get to work, Ambrose, but we need to move fast. Time is running out. I nodded, my mind racing with the implications. We were running out of time and our only hope lay in uncovering the truth before it was too late. The corridors of the council's headquarters seemed to grow darker, the shadows deepening as I walked back to my quarters, my heart heavy with the weight of responsibility. I knew that I was walking a thin line, balancing the fate of humanity on my shoulders, but I was ready. I would not falter. As I entered my quarters, I was greeted by the soft glow of the console, the holographic display flickering with data. I walked over to it, my eyes scanning the reports, my mind processing the information at lightning speed. And then I saw it. A faint thread of connection, a whisper of evidence that pointed to the true mastermind behind the Zeridian aggression. My heart skipped a beat as I realized the truth. It was worse than I had feared. I called out to Ortega, my voice low and urgent. Get in here. Now. I think I've found our traitor. Ortega's footsteps echoed through the corridor and he burst into my quarters, his eyes snapping with alertness. What is it, Ambrose? What did you find? I turned to him, my face set in a grim line. It's Counselor Wynter. I think he's the one behind the Zeridian aggression. Ortega's eyes narrowed, his gaze flashing with intensity. The evidence? I gestured to the console and Ortega strode over to examine the data. His brow furrowed as he scanned the reports, his expression growing darker by the second. This is it, Ambrose, he growled. This is the proof we need. I nodded, my mind racing with the implications. Counselor Wynter, one of the most influential members of the Galactic Council, had been working against us from the shadows. The betrayal stung, but I couldn't afford to dwell on it. Not now. We need to act fast, I said, my voice low and urgent. We can't let Wynter get away with this. XHKKHT needs to know. Ortega nodded, his eyes flashing with determination. I'll get in touch with XHKKHT, brief her on the situation. You need to prepare for the emergency meeting. I nodded, my mind already racing ahead. I knew that the meeting would be a powder keg, waiting to ignite, but I was ready. I would not back down. As Ortega worked to establish the connection, I paced the room, my thoughts churning with strategy and counter-strategy. I knew that Wynter would stop at nothing to achieve his goals, and I needed to be one step ahead of him. The view screen flickered to life, and XHKKHT's solemn face appeared before us. Ambrose, I have the evidence, she said, her voice grave. Counselor Wynter has been working with the Zeridians. I will convene the emergency meeting immediately. I nodded, my jaw set in a firm line. I'll be there, XHKKHT, and I'll make sure that Wynter pays for his betrayal. XHKKHT's eyes flashed with determination. I will ensure that the council is prepared, Ambrose. But be warned. Wynter has allies on the council. You will need to tread carefully. I nodded, my mind already racing with strategies and counter-strategies. I knew that the meeting would be a minefield, but I was ready to navigate it. The connection cut off and I turned to Ortega, my eyes locked onto his. Let's get to the council chambers, Ortega. It's time to take down Walter and secure humanity's future. Ortega nodded, his face a mask of determination. "I'm with you, Ambrose, all the way." Together, we strode out of my quarters into the unknown. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was ready to do whatever it took to ensure our survival. As we walked, the corridors of the Council's headquarters seemed to grow darker, the shadows deepening with every step. I knew that I was walking into a viper's nest, but I was ready to face whatever lay ahead. For humanity's sake, I would not falter. The doors of the Council chambers slid open, and I strode in, my eyes scanning the room for any sign of Walter. Ortega followed close behind, his presence a reassuring anchor in the midst of the brewing storm. XHKKHT stood at the center of the room, her eyes flashing with a fierce intensity as she surveyed the gathered counselors. The air was heavy with tension, the usual hum of conversation and debate replaced by an oppressive silence. I spotted Walter, seated in his usual place, his eyes fixed on me with a calculating gaze. I felt a surge of anger, but I pushed it aside, focusing on the task at hand. "Ambrose Wynter, you have been summoned to answer for your accusations," XHKKHT declared, her voice echoing through the chamber. I nodded, my jaw set in a firm line. "I have evidence, XHKKHT. Evidence that Counselor Walter has been working with the Zeridians to destabilize the balance of power in the galaxy." Walter's expression remained calm, but I could see the faintest flicker of anger in his eyes. "These are baseless accusations," he sneered. "Wynter is desperate to distract from his own failures." I smiled, a cold, calculated smile. "I have proof, Walter. Proof that you have been secretly meeting with Zeridian leaders. Proof that you have been funneling resources to their war effort." The room erupted into chaos, counselors shouting and arguing as Walter's allies rushed to his defense. I stood tall, my voice ringing out above the din. "I will not be silenced. I will not be intimidated. I demand justice for humanity, and I will see that Walter is held accountable for his treason." XHKKHT's voice cut through the noise, her words firm and authoritative. "Enough. We will hear the evidence and we will render a verdict. Counselor Walter, you will have a chance to respond to these allegations." The room fell silent once more, the tension coiling tighter as Walter's eyes locked onto mine. I knew that this was it, the moment of truth. Would the council see through Walter's schemes, or would they be swayed by his lies? I took a deep breath, my mind racing with strategy and counter-strategy. I knew that I had to be perfect, that I had to convincing, and I had to be prepared for anything. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was ready to do whatever it took to secure our future. But as I began to speak, as I laid out the evidence before the council, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking into a trap. That Walter had one last trick up his sleeve, one last surprise that would turn the tables and destroy everything I had worked for. I pushed the thought aside, focusing on the task at hand, but the seed of doubt had been planted, and I knew that I would have to be vigilant to be prepared for anything. For humanity's sake, I would not falter. The weight of the council's attention settled upon me as I presented my evidence, every detail, every shred of proof meticulously crafted to expose Walter's treachery. Ortega stood silent, a steadfast sentinel, as I wove a narrative of deceit and corruption, painting a damning portrait of the counselor's actions. Walter's mask of composure began to slip, his eyes flashing with anger as I revealed the extent of his collusion with the Zeridians. XHK's gaze remained fixed upon me, her expression unreadable, but I sensed a glimmer of curiosity, a hint that she was beginning to see the truth. As I finished my presentation, the room hung in silence, the counselors exchanging skeptical glances. Walter's allies stirred, whispering among themselves, their faces twisted with malice. "It's nothing but hearsay and speculation," Walter sneered, his voice laced with venom. "Wynter has no evidence, only wild accusations and fabrications." I smiled, a cold, calculated smile. "I have witnesses, Walter. Witnesses who will testify to your treachery." The doors slid open and a procession of figures entered the chamber, their faces etched with determination. Among them, I saw the familiar profiles of Kaelin and Lyra, their eyes shining with a fierce resolve. Lyra stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. I was present at the meeting between Counselor Wynter and the Zeridian ambassador. I saw the documents, I heard the promises. Wynter knew exactly what he was doing. Kaelin followed, his words dripping with conviction. I witnessed the transfer of resources, the funneling of supplies to the Zeridian war effort. It was Wynter's doing, without a doubt. The room erupted into chaos once more, the counselors shouting and arguing as Wynter's allies scrambled to discredit the witnesses. XHK's voice cut through the din, her words firm and authoritative. "Enough. We will hear from the witnesses and we will render a verdict. Counselor Wynter, you will have a chance to respond to these allegations." The room fell silent, the tension coiling tighter as Wynter's eyes locked onto mine. I knew that this was at the moment of truth. Would the council see through Wynter's schemes, or would they be swayed by his lies? I felt a strange sense of detachment, as if I was watching the proceedings unfold from afar. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was the pivot upon which it turned. But as I gazed into Wynter's eyes, I saw something there, something that sent a shiver down my spine, a glimmer of triumph, a hint of knowledge that I didn't possess. And in that moment, I knew that I was not prepared for what was to come. The game was far from over, and I had only just begun to realize the true extent of Wynter's schemes.